Hello friends, and welcome back to Enterprise Architecture. Now, last episode we made a lot more progress in the summer quest line in EA Farm, but we still have a few recipes to complete. Now, before we do that though, we're going to make a couple of little minor upgrades around the house and talk about a few other things. So, with no further ado, let's dive right in. So first things first, we have updated the pack again. This is version 1.0.6. I am calling this the Mawu update, and I'm naming that after longtime viewer Mawu. Always has a wonderful comment or two to give us on every single episode of this series, and I really appreciate all the feedback here. I've taken a bunch of his suggestions and added them into the pack. So we've added the Torchmaster mod, we have added the Create Jetpacks mod, we've added the Curios mod, all that great content, and a whole bunch of peaceful recipes for things that are only mob drops otherwise. So you have access to things like Wither Skulls and Blaze Powder and things like that you wouldn't have ordinarily. Again, using all cooking sorts of recipes here, so it should still fit in the theme of the pack. So hopefully that'll make this a little bit more playable, and once again, thanks to Mawu for all the great suggestions and help. So, with that taken care of, it's time to upgrade our storage a little bit here. So the first thing I want to do is go ahead and set down and upgrade a couple of our chests. So I'm going to put down a chest here, and now we're going to go over and start using sophisticated storage for our updates. So first things first, I'm going to come over here and buy ourselves a basic tier upgrade. That's going to take our regular chest and turn it into a sophisticated storage chest. I think technically we could have just bought a regular chest there, an oak chest, and it would have worked as well, but whatever, we're doing it the old-fashioned way. Alright, so now we upgrade that to copper, and then last but not least, I'm going to spend one more coin on this to upgrade this all the way up to iron. Now that's got a lot more space for us because we keep running out of room for all of our various foods, so we can start moving all of these things over into this chest here. Now, the other thing we can do is use our sophisticated storage upgrades to increase things like stack size. So let's do that real quick. We're going to spend one more coin on this. And somewhere in this list down here, these are the backpack upgrades. These are the chest upgrades. And I believe there is a stack upgrade here, tier 2. That's what we're going to want. Okay, great. And now with that in place, we should be able to increase our stack size of things here significantly. So all of these items can fit in one slot with no trouble. There we go. Now when we're moving things over from this container, they should condense nicely into the slots that we have. While we are at it, let's go ahead and also upgrade our backpack stack size. I think that there is a stack upgrade in here. We just need to find it. Stack upgrade tier 2. Yes, let's go ahead and add that to our backpack. And now with any luck, we can put it in that slot, and now we should be able to stack things even taller. Yeah, there we go. Like our Terra Nova, we can double up on that, and that's going to be really useful for us because now we can put more items in here. All right, so the second thing I wanted to do here is actually get a pet. I had added the animal section here for anybody that wants to do a traditional farm, but buried in these options here is also the option of getting a cat, a dog, or a parrot, in addition to some more exotic animals if you want to get something more exotic. So what we're going to do is go ahead and buy up a cat. There we go. And we can use our cat spawn egg. It looks like it gave me 2. You know what? That's great. I am okay with having 2 cats. Let's also go ahead and buy ourselves up a name tag, and it looks like it bought 2 there as well. There seems to be some sort of a bug in quest completion. I need to go and look into that later. But for now, it looks like we have 2 new pets. All right, hello kitties. Got a black tuxedo apparently and a little gray cat. Lovely. Now, I think some of you all know, or at least may have heard in the background of my videos, that I do have a pair of cats myself. So, although I only want one, hey, you're not dinner, get off the stove! This is a problem I have with my own cats too, climbing on the stove and trying to lick the pans and stuff after you've cooked. But usually there's not actually any pans up there, so they should be okay. Now we need to come up with a good set of names for these kitties. I think since you're black, I'm going to give you, oh, you know what? You have to tame them first, right? So let's go ahead and buy some fish. Now this is the only non-vegan part of this pack that I'm going to do is buying fish to try and tame the cats. So let's try and tame you. There we go. And how about you? Yeah, you tamed easily. Okay, great. All right, so now that we have a pair of kitties, we need to name them. And I have the name tags that I just bought, but it occurs to me that I made one big mistake in this pack, and that is that I forgot that you can only name these by actually using a forge. So, nope, stay off the counters. Off the counter, sweetie. You're gonna burn yourself that way. All right, so we're going to need a forge to be able to actually name these cats. Let's see here. So until I can fix the bug in the pack, we are going to go ahead and cheat. So let's give ourselves a Minecraft anvil. There we go. I'll make that an option in the pack here as soon as I get around to fixing things. And now I should be able to take my name tags and name these cats. All right, so I think the first cat, let's see here, the black one, I think I'm gonna name you Nori. There we go. And I think I'll name the second one, let's name you Maki. There we go. All right, great. Now, my cats at home are also named after Japanese food, so I thought this would be fitting. I think the black one, yeah, you are gonna be Nori, and the white one, you will be Maki. Wonderful. Okay, looking good. Now, kitties, because this is a hazard and you keep hurting yourselves, we are going to get rid of our various cooking utensils here so that you can have free reign of the house without actually hurting yourself. All right, great. Okay, so now we have some nice pets to hang out with us. All right, so I will see you all later. I am going to go back to the house here, to the kitchen, and start getting some cooking done for the episode. Alright, now that we have some companions, it is time to get cooking here. So we have a variety of recipes left to cook through. Let's start on the Latin foods first. First things first, I need to make some bean burritos. So I've already cooked up some tortillas, and I made a bunch of salsa up between episodes because this is a little complicated. You've already seen me make it, and it just takes a lot of slicing and dicing. Now, we did buy the auto slicer an episode ago, so we have been using this to cut up all of our fresh ingredients to make our salsa, so that works really quickly and effectively. Let's go ahead and grab up our black beans. From here, we need 1 stack of black beans. We are going to need a stack of tortillas. We are going to need some chili powder, and cut onions is the last piece of this. All right, great. So with those in hand, we should be able to make up our bean burritos. There we go. That was quick and easy, all taken care of. Now we can sell that over here. Bean burritos somewhere. There we go. All right. Perfect. 16 coins for our trouble. The next item that we need here is fish tacos. Now, fish tacos, we are not actually using fish. We're only feeding that to the kitties. So we are going to need some cooked toefish for this. So let's add this recipe here. Oh, it looks like this takes cooked toefish or cooked smoked toefish. So basically the easiest way to do this is just to use cooked toefish. We can make that with tofu slices and dried kelp. So we have some tofu slices here and we have some dried kelp here. So if we combine these, this will make our toefish for us. And then the only thing we need to do then is to cook this. So cooked toefish we can do in our bulk blaster. If we put it in the bulk smoker, it would be smoked toefish, of course. So let's throw that into our oven. There we go. These are the ovens I made an episode ago. I really like how this design turned out. I just think this works really nicely. And only occasionally do I end up throwing things so it falls between the bars. So it's not that much of a hazard. The other thing we're gonna need here is some sliced avocado. It looks like I don't have any. I could be just missing it and it's staring me in the face, but I don't think we have any cooked avocado, or sliced avocado laying around. So let's go ahead and throw these in our slicer as well. That'll auto slice down and soon that'll be ready. Let's grab our cooked toefish. There we go, wonderful. And then we just need to grab up the last of our ingredients here, some onion and some salsa and some chili powder. So there's our salsa and there's our chili powder, and momentarily we should have plenty of avocado. There we go. All right, and now I think we should be able to make this. Oh, we're just missing tortillas. Let's grab those from our stash. Perfect. All right, 64 fish tacos. Wonderful. Next up on our list is going to be our chicken tacos. So for this, we need cooked tofu for chicken. So let's grab our block of cooked tofu, or excuse me, our regular tofu. And this, I believe, also gets bulk blasted to make cooked tofu because it's not smoked tofu. So let's throw this in here. There we go. All right, our cooked tofu is now done. So we have that ingredient. We're gonna need more of our tortillas, and we are also gonna need more salsa. And for this one, we're also gonna need lettuce leaf. I do believe that we might be out of lettuce leaf. Oh no, we do have a stack of lettuce leaf. Okay, we are gonna need to get more lettuce from the garden here very shortly though. We'll grab the last of our chili powder. All of those in hand, we can make our chicken tacos. There we go. So with that, we should be ready here to make the last couple of ingredients. So as I was mentioning, beef burrito is the next thing we're working on. We need to make a tofu patty that we used with slicing our cut up tofu. So let's grab our cut tofu and we're gonna slice that a second time here. That's gonna turn it into minced tofu. So once that minced tofu comes out, we will then throw it in the fire here to get cooked. It looks like the minced tofu is all done now, and let's see here. Do we smoke that? No, we bulk blast that. You know, I made a lot of these recipes, you think I would remember them at this point, but unfortunately no, I have the memory of a goldfish. And there we go, tofu patties are now done, all right, and that will make us our beef burritos, completing that quest. Okay, so that is the beef burrito. You know, interesting fact here, I've actually had a lot of different careers over the years. I have worked in various kitchens. I originally worked in a French kitchen, and then I moved on to a Japanese kitchen. That's my love for French and Japanese food. I also do a lot of work with the law, however, these days. And funnily enough, in some states, a burrito counts legally as a sandwich, and in other states it doesn't. So depending on if you're in, say, Massachusetts or New York City, you're going to have a different legal ruling as to whether or not a burrito counts as a sandwich. Now, this is important because in some places, burritos are taxed differently and sandwiches are taxed differently. So as a result of that, you end up with very different models for how they are legally ruled on. So I think that's a interesting little factoid that they're just slightly different depending on where you are. So we need to make up a burrito here. We're gonna grab some sliced potatoes and we need some more of our chili powder. We're gonna put that in our heated container here, our heated mixer, the one that doesn't have water in it right now. And we are gonna cook up some seasoned potatoes. Potatoes are probably my absolute favorite food. I think I've mentioned that a few times before on this channel. I will eat pretty much any variety, any form of potato, but seasoned potatoes are definitely high on my list, along with mashed potatoes and, of course, French fries, which we saw last episode when we were doing all of our frying. So this is the seasoned potatoes recipe here. And there are our seasoned potatoes. That should be the last ingredient here for our breakfast burrito. We do have to make these in sets of 16. And again, that same bug with the containers and the bowls is still plaguing me. But again, we're not going to complain about free bowls at this juncture, especially since we are going to need a lot for the next set of recipes. All right, let's get started on the last set. Pasta with mushroom. This is relatively straightforward, except for that we do need soy milk for this. And I think we are also going to have to go and get some more brown mushrooms. So let's run over to our mushroom farm here. We've got a whole bunch in our mushroom cave. Just go in here with our lantern, put this up on the wall here. Okay, great. And now we should be able to get all of the brown mushrooms that we need here. The next thing we are gonna need here are our baked portobello caps. I believe I baked extras. I did between episodes there. I had made up a bunch. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna remove our fluid drawer that has our water in it. We're gonna take out that extra bucket of water from it and put that back in here. Whoop, not there, not there. There we go. Whoopsie. Almost flooded the building again. Plumbing is not my strong suit, I have to admit. We'll grab our soy milk container and we'll put it right back on here. And then we can start pulling soy milk out using our wrench and our pipes. Just like that. So that's going to fill with soy milk. Now all that remains is to fill this with the rest of our ingredients. So we can actually just throw these right on here. Okay, so that should be all of the ingredients. All that's missing here is to heat it up. So let's grab our charcoal and we'll start cooking. Now, while that's going, we can actually get started on the next recipe in our quest line here, the wild rice soup. Very similar recipe here, and we can just use water this time for this one. But we do need more baked portobello caps, and it looks like more dried kelp and some cut carrots. All right, let's go ahead and slice up some of these lovely carrots here, and I think I'm gonna go ahead and make myself up a little bit more dried kelp while I am at it, because we might need that for some more recipes here in the near future. And there we go, the last of our pasta with mushrooms, and in fact, that is also the last of our soy milk. We're gonna have to go get some from the soy processing plant here in the near future to be able to keep up with our demand, but that does mean that we are done with that pasta recipe. So now we can get back to our wild rice soup. Lovely, lovely recipe. I do love me some wild rice soup here. Let's go ahead and start pulling in our water for that. And now we need to grab up the rest of the ingredients that we're gonna need here. Now that we have a lot of money, I'm also gonna go and stop back by our tools section here, and I'm gonna buy up a universal pipe, a set of 16 of those, because this will make automating this a little bit easier here. First things first, let's go ahead and disable that connection. We do not want it to connect like that. We do want to bring in our water, so we put our water in like so. And then last but not least, we put our actual chest over here. Now what we have to do is very carefully get these connected up. So if I click there and there, that should pull water in here, it is. And then we can just drop all of these ingredients back in with our soup, and it'll just start mixing these up as it goes. So that should start pulling these in. There we go. It's only going to do 16 at a time. And once they're all in there, it'll start blending up that soup. So we're going to let that go for a second. While that's going, we're going to start getting the ingredients for our next recipe here, and that is going to be ramen. Now, like I said, I used to work in a Japanese restaurant, and so ramen is one of my all-time favorite foods. Absolutely delicious. We are going to be making this with this recipe here with corn, seaweed, sliced tofu, the silken tofu, excuse me, cooked pasta, and some smoked tofu slices. So the only thing we're missing, I think, for that is our smoked tofu slices. Let's grab a stack of tofu slices and we will throw that in here so that we can get it smoking, just like that. Don't let anyone tell you that you have to use fancy ingredients for everything. Sometimes it's good enough to just take, the basic ingredients and throw it together. You can take those same plastic packet made ramens and you can actually upgrade that pretty significantly by just doing something simple like going and getting some fresh veggies and chopping and putting in there, or even frozen veggies from a bag. Cook up a little bit of chicken or tofu or something like that, fry it up and then throw it on top. That's going to make a pretty decent ramen, even if you aren't using noodles that are actually like fresh noodles. That's a perfectly fine way to go, and that's an easy go-to recipe. I actually love that and will frequently make that for myself as well. All right, give me my smoked tofu here. Give me my silken tofu here. There we go. Now we have all the ingredients we need to make ramen, and that means that we should have all of these done. Our wild rice soup, yes, apparently we do have all the wild rice soup, but we don't actually have room in our inventory for it yet. So let's go ahead and throw some of these ingredients in here, and that'll get the ramen started while we are picking up the soup. So now we just grab this. There we go. And that should complete, yes it does, that recipe. Okay, while the ramen is cooking, we will gather the ingredients that we need for our spicy curry. This one gets interesting because we actually need chili paste for this, not just our regular chilies. So all of the other ingredients we have except for cooked rice, which we can actually make in our other mixer if we want here. So to make our chili paste, we are going to have to smash up our chili peppers here. So we compact those, and that makes us 250 millibuckets or a quarter bucket. Using our compressor here, let's go ahead and throw this down, our mechanical press. And there you go. You can see it's going to make chili paste for us. So that's going to get full real quick. So we're going to grab a fluid pipe here and a fluid drawer here, and we're going to use this to start pulling it out. And it looks like we are now done with all of our ramen. I don't know why my counting was off with our baked portobello caps, but not a big deal here. And now we can set up our curry machine. Let's put the curry on there, the chili paste on there. We will put another chest on here, and then again, we are going to go ahead and get this set up. Grab up our trusty pipe wrench, and we will wrench these two connections to start pulling ingredients out. There we go, already full of chili paste. Perfect. So let's go ahead and add all of these ingredients in here, and that should then start making our curry as soon as, once again, we light the fire under this. It looks like it's already lit up, so that should be ready to go as soon as the last of the ingredients go in here. So while that's going, we will now backtrack again and look at the last quest in this line. This is going to be shepherd's pie. This one's a little different because we actually have to cook it before we can eat it. To make the uncooked shepherd's pie, we need two ingredients here. We need a pie crust, and we need shepherd's pie filling. Let's get started on the shepherd's pie filling first because we need to make mashed potatoes to go in there. Like I was saying before, one of my favorite foods, in addition to an ingredient and other things like shepherd's pie. So we need to grab up a stack of potatoes here, and we can throw those into here. Now, those are not going to smash until we light it up because mashed potatoes do actually need some heat. So we're going to smash those potatoes and make mashed potatoes out of them. Now, once again, we're going to do the same trick we did before. We're going to put a fluid pipe on here, set that to extract, and now we just need a fluid drawer to drop that into. Let me grab up this one that's now empty here. I believe this had our soy milk in it before, and we'll put that right here, and that's going to start filling with mashed potatoes. Oh, can you just imagine having buckets and buckets of mashed potatoes? Just sounds great to me. Now, for the shepherd's pie, we are also going to need to make this pie crust, so I'm going to get started on that. That's going to require soy milk, and we are out of soy milk, so I do need to go back to our store, buy ourselves up one more fluid drawer here. Those are down here somewhere. There we go. Fluid drawer, not Florida, fluid drawer. And we will go back to our tofu facility and grab up some of our, got extra avocados there, with some of our lovely, lovely soy milk here. All right, so that should be the last of our curry here. Yes, it is. And that completes that quest. We can go ahead and sell that real quick in the store. There we go, spicy curry. Okay, great. 20 copper coins for that. That is pretty darn good. And with that, we can return to our shepherd's pie production. There's 16 buckets of mashed potatoes. That sounds like a good amount of mashed potatoes to me. Now we are ready to make our pie crusts. So we are going to mix in soy milk and wheat flour. So let me grab the soy milk up here. We will put this right on here again. We will go ahead and start pulling that in. We'll use that, wrench it in. Okay, there's our soy milk. And now all we have to do is start adding in our wheat flour. I believe we have plenty of wheat flour in here. There we go. And I believe it's 3-to-1 on this. So we do need to wrench this side here so that we can pull this in easily. There we go. Let's just start there. All right, all of our pie crusts should now be done. We can take back apart our whole setup here. Let's just move away our soy milk. And of course, we will need to bucket up the last of it. That's not how we do that. There we go. Okay, great. There's the last of our soy milk. Okay, wonderful. And now we can start working on our filling to go along with this. So let's grab up our mashed potatoes, and we will just repeat exactly the same process that we've done the last couple of times here. And you can see that is making our shepherd's pie filling. Now, this one is going to be a little trickier for us to get back out here. We are going to have to play with this a little bit. The mixer can actually go through blocks. So we are going to take advantage of that and put the drawer here. So that's actually, it's not pretty, but it is workable. It'll certainly work in this version of Create. So we're going to let that go, and that's going to make all of our shepherd's pie filling for us. And there we go. We now have 16 buckets of shepherd's pie filling. I'm going to stick that right there. Now that we have our shepherd's pie filling and our pie crusts, we need a way of getting the filling into the crust. And for that, we are going to use a spout. So let's go back over here to our tools. We need to get some more of our fluid tools, and this is where you will find the spout. We also need to go ahead and grab up a depot as well, so that we have a place to spout onto. So we'll put the fluid pipe there, and then we just need a place to put the depot. Let's put a block down temporarily, and we'll put the spout on top of that. There we go. Now, if I start pulling from there, we'll get shepherd's pie filling into our spout, and then this spout we can then spout into our pie crusts. So that will make our uncooked shepherd's pie here momentarily. And there we go, 64 uncooked shepherd's pie. We can now throw these directly into our bulk oven to cook. So let's throw that in there, and those will cook up. We can tear this back down while we wait as well. And there we go. With just a little bit of television magic, we now have 64 shepherd's pies all cooked up and ready to be sold at the shop. So with that done, let's go and complete summer and prepare for fall. Great. Now fall has a whole lot ahead for us. We're going to be growing a lot of different fruits and making a lot of new desserts. So this is going to be really exciting. Cakes and pies and cookies and all sorts of good things. Gummies. This is going to be very, very exciting, and some refreshing fruit juices as well. But that's all going to have to wait for the next episode. But hey, if you've made it this far in this episode, why don't you go ahead and hit that like button and maybe leave me a comment as well. Tell me if there's any foods that you saw in this episode that you enjoy eating, or maybe even just tell me about your favorite food. Maybe it's missing from this pack and I need to add it. That would be really great to know as well. But thanks again for watching Enterprise Architecture, and we'll see you back here next time. Bye, friends!